So just to get a real quick scan of the room so I've got an idea of who I'm talking with, how many people have very little to no understanding at all about wholesaling? Feel free, okay. So I am going to bring this in from the very bottom up. For those that are a little more experienced, the first 45 minutes are going to be an introduction to wholesales. We're going to be talking about basically what is a wholesale, how is it functioning, why are we doing this, and then I'm going to take it and I'm going to progressively get more and more in depth as we go through the next 2 days. So my goal for everyone that is coming here today is to take you all the way from the beginning of not having any knowledge in this at all the way to the other side of it of being able to close and transact a deal. So there's going to be 2 full days worth of content here. I'd like everybody here to give a full warm shout out to Quest Trust for letting us use their building, letting us use their space. So thank you all for that. Thank you, thank you. And let's just go ahead and get right into this. So I've got, for those that have not seen me present before, I do have stage fright. So I'm going to start warming up, trying to get a little used to the crowd. I like interaction. The more that y'all can interact with me and ask questions, the less I feel like I'm just talking to nothing. So like, if y'all want to ask questions, that's the purpose of this. I want some feedback. Like if I'm going through and y'all just aren't understanding this, do not be hesitant to raise your hand and say, hey, help me clarify this. Why are we doing it this way? I've tried doing that before, but I had a problem. This is your chance to get direct feedback. A lot of times when we do our live streams or a lot of times when we do the Propelio Academy, I have no idea what questions are absent there because I'm talking to a camera. So if y'all have questions, this is your time to get those questions out there. Is that cool? What's up, man?
Okay, I know that you had to register for the web viewing of this, but is there a way that this is shareable before all this starts so everybody here could sort of push this out for you and the people that they have on their things could be able to view it?
That's going to be a Mr. Ryan Harper question. So he was asking how we can share some of this out via social media so that way everybody in the crowd can help promote the live stream.
Yeah, the link is on Facebook right now. I just put it out there. It's also on YouTube. If you don't subscribe to the YouTube channel now, subscribe and you'll get a notification it's on right now.
Awesome. So everybody ready to go? Has anybody got any clear? Oh, I'm Daniel Moore. Nice to meet you, sir. Co-founder of Propelio.com. I've been real estate investing since 2006. Bought my very first flip at 23 years old. Since then, I have done approximately 100 to 150 transactions. One of the things I learned growing through is like one year I did like 67, 70 deals. And while that sounds good, volume doesn't mean shit. Volume means nothing. Like the next year I did 23 deals and made almost triple what I did the year before. And the year after that I only did like 9 or 10 deals and made almost double what I did the year before that. So I started learning that volume does not mean a damn thing. I started looking at balance sheets. Like whenever you start looking at that, you start chasing different types of deals, you start doing different types of business. So that's one of the things that I'd like everybody in here to understand is one of the things that I'll ask a lot of people is like, what is your goal for next year? I want to do 100 properties. F 100 properties. Do 5 solid properties and you can retire. So try and find these solid deals that'll get you to the next level. Stop trying to worry about volume and worry more about finding the deal that puts you into retirement. I think that is the key thing that many people miss out on is they focus on the wrong KPI, which is deal volume. Like I could go out and do 100,000 doors and if I made a negative $5,000 per door, what did I do that year? Not a damn thing. Always focus on the key thing that really matters, and that's what's the revenue generating. If I did one deal and it made me $5 million, how many deals do I need to do? Does that make sense? All right, so that's one of the things I'd like to focus on as we go through this is I consider wholesaling to be a solid stepping stone to that next level. If you're getting into this and you have 0 to limited financial ability, this will put some finances in your back pocket that will allow you to get to the next level and next level fast. Coming up from where I came up, growing up, how I grew up, opportunities were not readily available. So learning about this gave me an opportunity to go out and get the capital I needed to invest back into myself to get me to the next level. So let's move forward. All right, so looks like I've been hitting a bunch of buttons. So what is a wholesale? So like I said, I'm going to take this in from the very beginning and bring it up. Wholesaling is a universal term. This does not apply strictly to real estate. What I'm trying to do as a wholesaler of any product is to secure something at a discount and then resell it to somebody else at a price that's greater than what I'm into it for. I can do that with anything. I can do that with an iPhone. I can do that with anything out there. essentially the way I'm doing it with real estate, and the reason why real estate investing has such a powerful piece to it, is that if I can wholesale a piece of real estate, that's 20 grand, 10 grand, 5 grand. That's just cash that we can throw in real fast. So wholesaling real estate is essentially, I as a wholesaler, my key and sole business operation is revolving around finding the cheapest real estate that I possibly can so that I might be able to resell it for a higher value than what I'm into it for. How do I do that with real estate? A lot of different ways, but the essential basic way that a lot of people talk about is I will go out and I will get a contract to purchase a property. That contract says that Mr. Homeowner will sell me the property for $50,000. I've negotiated that price. We've all now realized that the homeowner will sell that property for 50 grand. Now, as a wholesaler, my key initiative is to now find somebody that would be willing to buy that contract from me. Now, this is where a lot of people get a little bit misunderstood. That contract that I just got a signature on has value. What power does that contract have? Can I get some feedback on that? That contract has the power to purchase that real estate based upon the terms of that contract. Is that a powerful piece of paper? All right. Now, if you find an investor that is looking for real estate in this particular condition, in this particular area, that contract is now valuable to that person because that person was unable to do what? Find that property. That is your job. As a wholesaler, your job is to secure discounted properties at a volume in which that you can turn them over and create a substantial income for yourself. Okay? Now that contract, I will then turn around and what we're going to do is called an assignment of contract. I will assign that contract to the new buyer in exchange for an assignment fee. And that assignment fee is, let's say, how much did I get that home under contract for? $50,000. Let's say I'm able to find somebody that would be willing to pay $60,000 for that house. How much could I make on that assignment fee? 10 grand. Now, where so many people start getting nervous about this and so many people start backpedaling a little bit is because we started putting $50,000. That sounds like, if you've never seen $50,000 in your life, and you start putting a contract together for 50 grand, you start getting a little bit, hold on, there's got to be more to this. There's got to be, and you start getting in your head and you start messing things up because you can't believe how simple that really was. Wholesaling is nothing more than getting a piece of property under a contract and then reselling that contract for a profit. I can do that with an iPhone. Anybody in here, like a brand new iPhone 10, I don't even know what those things cost. I'm assuming around $1,000. Most people in here would agree that if I had an iPhone 10 right here that was brand new, and I could say, I'll sell it to anyone in this room that's got a $100 bill, that most people in this room that had a $100 bill in their back pocket would buy it instantaneously without further thought. Is that correct? All right. Why? Because you know you could immediately turn back around and sell it even at a discount for $500 and still make 4 times your money. Where people start getting caught up is on real estate. It's no different than what I just discussed in that iPhone. But why did that deal make sense as an iPhone buyer? Because you're very familiar with that price. You're very familiar with that product. One of the things that I learned while reading Robert Kiyosaki's book way back in the day is he said, you know what? If I asked everybody in this room right now, what's the price of gasoline right now, vaguely? $2.30. We all know that. Why? Because every single day we drive past sign after sign after sign telling us how much gas was. If all of a sudden you were driving down the road and you saw a gas station that had gas at 90 cents, you'd probably make sure that the car in front of you was able to drive away and it wasn't full of water. And then you'd fill up your tank, your neighbor's tank, your grass tank, your weed eater. You'd fill it all up. Why? Because you have already know that value is so low that you've got a bargain. Now, where you're going to start struggling as a real estate wholesaler is that when you look at a house, you are not familiar with that. That house does not have a price hanging above the house saying, this should be a $130,000 house, go buy it for $55,000. So there is other aspects to real estate wholesaling that you're gonna have to learn to become a proficient wholesaler, but ultimately the premise is all the same. I find real estate at a significant discount. I then resell that contract to purchase that real estate for my profit. Does that all make sense? Okay. So now the next question that many people ask in this class is, do I have to be a licensed real estate agent to wholesale? No, you do not. This is a private party transaction. You are negotiating that contract on your own behalf. When you get that contract, you have multiple things that you could do with it. You could close on that contract yourself. If you are unable to do that, you should notify the homeowner that you will be looking for capital partners and or other real estate investors that would be willing to loan and or purchase that property for you. So you disclose, you do not lie to the homeowner. But what you can do from there is, am I selling real estate when I sell that contract? No. I am selling my equitable interest in a contract. And that's the term I want to use. And I use that very specific term for a reason, because that is exactly what we are doing when we do assignments of contract. We are selling equitable interest in a contract. Okay? I'm not selling real estate. So if I'm out there advertising my property, one of the things that got a lot of Texas investors in trouble was they would say, I'm selling 123 Main Street for 110 grand. Well, they weren't selling 110 Main Street. They were selling a contract for 123 Main Street, and the total price was 110 grand. So Texas started forcing us to disclose this. We are not selling real estate when we are selling contracts. We are assigning contracts. We need to disclose that. Okay? So moving forward, now let's be realistic about this. We will see a lot of Lamborghinis and mansions all over social media and advertisement talking about, let's get in, let's do some wholesaling. You can make a ton of money wholesaling, but I will let everyone in this room right now know that you do not make a ton of money wholesaling. You make a ton of money running a business. At the point in time you learn how to turn wholesaling into a business, you will make a ton of money. But for anybody in here that does not understand how to transact and grow and establish a business, that is the piece that you need to get to across the board, across everything in your life. Real estate investing is nothing more than a trade. Real estate investing, I'm a home flipper, I'm a landlord, I'm XYZ. The point in time you learn how to apply business principle, processes, procedures, and accountability to that trade, essentially consider yourself a solo tradesman. You need to apply business principles to the art of wholesaling to really scale it up. Now, can I sit here and say that as a solo wholesaler, you can still make a couple $100 grand? You know, you can still make $200,000, $300,000 with a two-person team. So I'm not going to sit here and shy away from that. But $200,000 to $300,000 is not generational wealth. So that's why I consider wholesaling to be a stepping stone to the next level. Until you turn that up to a business, that's where you start seeing that happen. But if you apply business principles to any trade, you have a high probability of being able to succeed with that. Does that make sense? Am I sitting up here trying to discourage you from wholesaling? Absolutely not. I'm trying to pull back the Lambos and mansions to give you a realistic expectation of what this business is. If you are running by yourself and you're new in this, you might be lucky to hit 50 to 100 grand your first year out. If you do get your first year out 50 to 100 grand and you start learning how to replicate that and you start learning how to scale, 150 to 300,000 for a small person team is not outside of the possibilities. You start applying business principles to that, that's where you start hitting $1 million plus a year. But you need a solid team of people around you to knock that out. Don't think you're going to sit there as a one-person team, knock out $2 million in assignment fees. It's not probable. Okay? I'm trying to be as realistic as I possibly can up here. But yes, wholesaling real estate is a great way of getting you out of the rat race and a great way of setting yourself up for a considerable shift in your income and your future. Okay? So one of the key things about this is you truly must believe that it's possible. One of the things that I'm a very big fan of is the laws of attraction. What you believe is what will happen. If I don't believe that this is possible, it's never going to work for you. So the mindset must first shift to the understanding that, you know what? I didn't do a deal in the last 30 days. I didn't do a deal in the last 60 days. I'm brand new. I'm expecting to get my first deal in the first 90 days. Realistically, most people entering into this, especially with limited to no capital and trying to do this as a side hustle, it's going to take you probably 9 months to nail your first deal. That is commitment. That is significant commitment because you're going to go on a lot of appointments in those 9 months. There are some people that will go out there in their first 30 days, knock out 2 deals. Congrats, you are not the norm. If you are an average person trying to get this done in your spare time, consider it at least 9 months before you do your first deal because you're going to go through a lot of failure. You're going to fail time and time and time again. You're going to show up to an appointment. The seller's going to ask you a question that you don't have an answer to. You're going to get nervous, and guess what's going to happen? Those nerves are going to start messing your deal up, and you're going to walk away and you're going to lose the contract. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Good. Very good thing. The more opportunities you have to fail, the better you will be in this business. I failed every single day, all the way up until today. I will never continue growing if I do not continue to fail. Because my simple understanding of a failure means that I was trying to do something that I was not able to do. That means that I'm constantly trying to grow. So if anybody in this room has not failed recently, you are not pushing yourself hard enough. You have gotten yourself into a level of comfort that is allowing you to stay stagnant. Learn to fail often. Learn to accept failure as a form of progress, and rewrite that thought process in your mind that failure is bad. We good with that? Okay. Define your why. And I must clearly say that money is not it. Now, I can clearly understand that up front, some of us will be in financial situations where it's like, yeah, I need $5,000 real fast. I understand that. I get that. I understand being in that position. But if money is your ultimate goal, you will never be a satisfied person because you will hit $1 million. You will hit 5 million. You will hit 10 million. And you will never feel accomplished because the goal will always get better. Try and revolve your why around something other than money. Even if it's a trip, like my why is next year I want to go on a trip to Europe and I want to tour Europe for 3 months straight. And I don't want to worry about a thing in life. That is a goal that you will remember forever. I can tell you right now that cashing a $20,000 check the first time you do it, guess what? It feels really damn good. After you've done that 60, 70, 80, 100 times, it's just another damn day. Do not make money your why. Try to make sure that you have a why far bigger than money can ever be, because there's nothing important about money in this life. The only thing important in this life is your friends, your family, and your experiences. Money helps feed that. But if you focus on the money, you will never go after the other stuff. Do not lose your friends, your family, and your experiences to get this done. Go out there, hustle your ass off, but design this with an end game in mind. You will lose your life getting started in this. Accept that. I'm trying to be real here. I could paint some really rosy pictures here for you, but if I did that, guess what you're going to do? You're going to get real excited. You're going to get real pumped up. You're going to be like, Daniel said you can go out there and make $1 million. You can, but it's a bitch to do it. There's nothing easy about it. Don't let me sit here and tell you that like, oh, you're going to go out there and wholesale and this is just going to happen for you and overnight you're going to be wonderful and everything's going to change. It takes a lot of hard work to go from the very bottom and scrape your way up to the top. So commit to it. Understand that if you are working a full-time job, when you get off of work at 5 p.m., the next hour and a half ride on your way home is going to be going through all the back roads driving for dollars. And then as soon as you get home, you're going to start researching and marketing to those drives. You're going to be up till midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. And then your alarm's going to go off at 6 a.m. to start that day over again, and you're going to have to learn to accept that grind and deal with it. It is that why that will force you to do that. And if your why is not big enough to get that done, if you do not have capital or network or resources around you to accomplish that, and you're not willing to do some of the things that I just talked about, you will not succeed in this business. Why do I feel confident standing at the front of the room and saying that? Because I'm not selling you a mentorship package. I'm not selling you pie in the sky fluff. I'm telling you some real truth. This has strong possibilities, but you do have to work for it. This is not going to come overnight for you. Get in there, dig in, and make it happen. But design for the end in mind, like I said. Now, if you truly want to turn this into a business, you want to have an employee base of 10 or 15 people working underneath you, you want to be wholesaling virtually across the United States, you want to create $150,000 a month in revenue off of assignments, you most certainly can. $150,000 a month in revenue, virtually wholesaling with a solid team, processes, procedures, and accountability is definitely doable. Does anybody in here like the sound of $150,000 a month in revenue? I do too. I personally never wanted to scale a wholesaling business. I am a social introvert. I do not communicate well with people I do not know. Those things to be said, does that sound like a really good position for a wholesaler? No, so I used wholesaling to get me out of the gutter. And then once I got out of the gutter, I took the funds that I created from that and I applied it to other pieces of my life that allowed me to do what? Design for the end in mind. My goal was not to be a 100 millionaire. My goal was to have a life of freedom. And if you design your life around a life of freedom, you do not need a considerable amount of money to live a very happy life. Do I need a Lambo? Do I need a yacht? Do I need a private helicopter? No, if I want one of those, I can rent it. What I do want is to be there with my kids. Do you get what I'm saying? My kids, my family, that is my why. Now, if I stood here at the front of this room and told you, you know what? My why is my family. My why is my daughters. My why is my wife. If I stood at the front of the room and said that to you, and then turned around and told you I worked 100 hours a week for money, am I lying to you? My why was not my family. My why was money. You need to learn to get to a point where you can start applying money to work for you. And when you learn how to turn money to work for you, you can then go out and live the life that you want to live. And I say that so energetically and absolutely from the front of the room, because you must understand that if your why is your family, pay attention to what your schedule looks like and don't lie to yourself. You will have to get in there and hustle for that first couple of years, but do that first couple of years of hustling for a very specific reason. And do not forget that on your way to the top. Okay? Some things that I'll disclose while I'm here. I have had a historic issue with depression, suicidal thoughts, all of those types of things. I thought that getting money would fix all of that. I thought getting money would fix that sadness, fix that, all of those problems that were in my mind. Physical things in this world will never fix that. If you are having problems and you're thinking that money will fix it, unless that problem is a bill, that's not the case. But at the point in time you reach a point where your income is satisfying your immediate personal needs, anything more than that is not going to make you any happier. You need to understand what's going on and then find the things in life to fix that. And that's why I stress so much from the front of the room that money should not be your why. It can be, but understand that your family, friends, and experiences are far more important than that. If you watch a TED Talk, there was a TED Talk about an ambulance driver that said he spent many a times with the people in their last dying moments on the side of a highway. How many of those people dying on the side of the road do you think said, man, I wish I got to drive my Lambo one more time? Serious question. So many people in their dying days regret few things, and that is the things that they did not do and the time that they did not spend with their family. Do not think you will be any different. Take the time that you have now, because it's limited, and spend as much of it as you possibly can with your friends and family. And if I'm being deep, my apologies. But my goal here is to give as much to you as I possibly can, and I think mindset and goals is a very important part of it. Okay? Immersion into a new network. Like if I sat up here and I'm just going to wing a statement off the top of my head. So I've been doing a lot of appointment and substitute trustee marketing. Doing that, I've came across a property that has limited to no equity on it. I might try and take it down as a short, but as right now with it being an FHA loan and the loan standards on the HUD policies are kind of struggling on that side, I might just go ahead and take it down subject to, but with the amount of time that I've got until the sale date, with that being said, all I've got enough time to do is do an abstracted title. I'm not sure if I'm comfortable with taking that down on that way. But I might see if I can go ahead and get the seller to file a BK, because right now their personal situation says that it's probably a good thing for them to do that. Did I just confuse a bunch of people? I wanted to, intentionally. I just spoke a lingo that y'all don't know. You need to immerse yourself around people that can speak like I just spoke and understand what I just said, because you don't get it right now. That is a good thing. That means you are putting yourself in front of people that you otherwise would not be around, and you are allowing yourself to learn things that you otherwise would not learn. If I stood in a room full of Wall Street stockbrokers and they're talking about calendars, calls, shorts, and spreads, I might understand a little bit of it, but I'm going to start getting lost. Wholesaling is a whole new lingo. Learn it. Immerse yourself into a network. Go out and find videos where you're seeing some solid people speaking on this subject. And when someone says something that you don't understand, what's that a key indicator of? Time to reach out to your Google mentor. Google mentored me through a lot. That is how I got started in a lot of this. But what I tried to show you right there through that brief statement that I made is something very clear to many people in this room as I started talking. You do not know the language of this business. There is no way I can teach you that language of this business in this short 2-day class. You must go out and find a local meetup. You must go out online and find Facebook groups that will allow you to start seeing some of these conversations happen. You'll see somebody put a post out there and you'll be like, what the hell did he just say? That's a good thing. Google it. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. So, some of the key things that I'd like y'all to have done in the next 24 hours is for you to establish some personal goals for yourself. I always believe, like, you shoot for the stars, at least you land. What is that? You shoot for the moon, you'll land amongst the stars? Yeah, there you go. Set your goals to be realistic. Like, if you've never done a deal before, don't say I'm going to do 1,000 wholesale deals, in the next 3 months. That's not probable. You're going to set yourself up in a situation where you are not achieving your goals, and you might get yourself a little discouraged. But if you are a brand new wholesaler, try to set your goal to say, I will complete at least one wholesale transaction in the next 9 months. That is, especially if you are a part-timer, basically going home after your work, doing it on the nights and weekends. Give yourself 9 months to decide whether or not this is truly a fit for you. Now, that sounds like a whole lot of work to go at the end of 9 months and cash a $12,000 check. That 9 months was your university. Does that make sense? Most people that knock down that first deal will often within the next 90 days have at least one more deal in the pipeline, because they started kind of figuring out the process, and once they got that first one across the finish line, what happened? Now they're believing in it. They saw it happen once. The next 90 days changes. And then once they do it twice, 3 times, 4 times, it really depends upon their personal self and what's going on from there as to how it's going to move forward from there. But if you're brand new, give yourself 9 months to knock down your first deal. To do that, you're going to need to set action items. As of right now, many people in this room will not know what those action items are because you are not familiar enough with wholesaling to know what to do. My goal over the next 2 days is to give you enough of those action items that by the end of this 2 days, you know exactly what to do leaving this room. Okay? When I say know exactly what to do, you'll have the understanding of it. You'll go out there and start doing it. You're going to be like, okay, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. What does that mean? You're learning. Accept it. Get in there. Kick it out. Knock it out. At 23 years old, I wasn't too far outside of an aggravated robbery that had me locked up. At 23 years old, do you think there was a whole lot of, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I'm calling up this real estate agent saying I'm going to buy this house. I have no clue what I'm doing. And I tell that real estate agent, what? I have no clue what I'm doing. I want to buy this house. Can you help me out with it? It's crazy what transparency will do for you in a conversation. If you're sitting in front of a seller and you're sitting there trying to act like you know everything, it's not going to work out for you. If you don't know, just say, hey, I don't know, but that's a great question. Let me come back to you on it. That will come across a lot better than you trying to make up an answer on the fly, because they might already have a semi-understanding of an answer to it. And you know what? Don't shoot yourself in the foot over it. Just be honest with people. And then commit to it. Put this on a calendar. Set your dates and make sure that you go out there and perform. Okay? A goal without action is nothing. Action without direction is nothing. Sound good? Is it too early in the morning, or am I just too intense in this early in the morning? I tend to be intense with people. Yes.
When you said it for what was like the light bulb that went off in your mind that said, hey, I got to change my ways?
I did not have any greater education. My education pretty much stopped at about 6th grade. So that to be taken into consideration, I was a construction worker. I was a laborer. I just did labor. And I did not like the way my future looked at that point in time. And whenever I was sitting in county, we'd have a book cart. And I would read books off the book cart. And one of them was a book co-authored by Kiyosaki, or excuse me, I think it was a Ross Perot book, actually. But it was a book, and it just started talking about real estate. And through that, it kind of kicked the bug into my mind that, you know what, maybe that's a possibility. And then I did run across a Rich Dad, Poor Dad book called Real Estate Advantages. And Real Estate Advantages really sparked my mind to how powerful real estate could really be. Because at that point in time in life, I understood a little bit about hustling, finding something for cheaper and selling it for more. You know, I do that with cars. I do that with anything I can get my hands on just to make extra money, because making $8 an hour digging ditches was not creating the lifestyle that I wanted for myself. Now, while I said my 6th grade education is where it stopped, my sister was about 3 years older than me. She was already injecting heroin at that time. My father had just gotten into a truck accident that completely left him disabled. He was not able to move around the house. His pelvis was shattered, which started with hydrocodone, which moved up to Oxycontin, which moved to heroin as well. Well, at 13 years old, this was my life. Well, at 13 years old, with a life like that, I had to find ways to not only support myself, but support my family, because my dad wasn't working anymore. My sister wasn't working anymore. The only person in the house that could work was me. So at 13 years old, I had a full-time job. That is what I'm talking about. That's a why. I did not want that to be the rest of my life. I did not have the opportunity to go to college. I did not have a choice of saying, you know what, I'm going to go out and get XYZ degree and work my way up the corporate ladder. Those were not options for me in my life. This is the only thing that allowed me to stand in this room today as a mentor to many people and say, this is an opportunity for you. You just have to accept that it's not easy. Okay? And I'll talk more about that. We're wrapping up on this side, but I do want to say, I am standing in this room here willing to teach you because I understand what it was like to be at the beginning and have no resources to get me to the next step, and I saw how important it was. But there is no replacement for a true direct mentor. Find somebody in your local market that's actively doing the business and find ways to bring value to them, because they can be your sounding board, they can be your feedback. Mentor, somebody that's been down the road before you, is a solid resource to have. You might have to bootstrap this up off the ground to start with. You might need to knock down 1 or 2 deals, but never say, I don't need a mentor. A mentor will save you far more mistakes, and a true mentor should be able to make you more money than you have ever invested back into them. And that is because they can give you a roadmap to where they have gone. Just make sure that the person that you are looking for as a mentor has gone where you want to go and will prove it before you give them anything. There are a lot of people out there that fake it. There's a lot of people out there that will flash a Rolls Royce, but they won't tell you that the payment for that Rolls Royce comes from your $25,000 that you're about to give them to mentor them. Understand that. That's a reality. Okay? Where am I going next? Yes, sir.
How would you vet somebody as far as a mentor? Like, let's say somebody brand new coming in. How would you vet a mentor? How would you?
So if this is a paid mentorship and they're like, you know what, give me 25 grand, 50 grand, say, I would like to see your last month's worth of HUDs. If there's verify what they're claiming. You know, if they're sitting there saying, you know what, I wholesale 30 deals a month. All right, show me 30 HUDs. Show me proof. Show me now they may or may not be willing to do this. Like, you're sitting here telling me you make millions a year. Show it to me. If you're willing to brag about it and tell me that you've done it, you shouldn't have a problem showing it to me on paper. All right, where did that revenue come from? Did that revenue come from real estate, or did that revenue come from affiliate marketing? Did that revenue come from coaching and mentoring? Or did that revenue actually come from real estate? There are mentors, there are coaches, and there are masterminds. And I'll clearly say what I consider to be the differences between them. A mentor is somebody that's actively doing the business and can produce HUDs for you. Now, are there plenty of coaches that can coach somebody on how to throw that football and how to run that play, but can't actually get out there and throw the football? Yes, and that is not a problem. I will gladly hire a coach that is a damn good coach. They do not have to be actively doing this business to be your coach. But you need to verify that what you were expecting to receive from them is what they will deliver upon, and ask for other people that have been through their system, not just the people that they're going to refer you to and say, hey, go talk to this guy. That's their cheerleader. Ask around, go on to Facebook groups and say, has anybody had any experience with XYZ person? Can you give me some feedback to say whether or not this person is a true mentor or coach? Masterminds, I'm still a part of masterminds on the regular. I consider masterminds to be a great resource. Masterminds is a group of small collective people, all with a similar goal in mind, and you all work together to achieve that goal. I'm running out of time on this one, so establishing systems is an important piece of this business. We'll talk about that as we move forward. We must maintain focus. Don't say, I want to be a wholesaler. You set yourself down on a 9-month commitment to say, I'll do my first deal in the next 9 months. And then 30 days from now, you go to your local REIA. They've got another salesman on the stage to get you all excited about the next strategy. And then you pivot. And then a month later, you pivot again. And then a month later, you pivot again. And now all of a sudden, you've got 12 different strategies in the back of your mind, and you're not performing on any of them. Pick one and do it to the point of completion, and then decide from there as to whether or not it is something that you want to try and replicate and build up from there. Don't try and come out the gate saying, you know what, I'm going to be a landlord, I'm going to be a wholesaler, I'm going to be a flipper, I'm going to be a short seller, I'm going to be a sub-2, or I'm going to be a wrapper. No, you're not. You're going to be the master of one of them, and until you can automate that to the point that you can get other people to do it for you, you don't pivot. Unless you get to the point of completing one and saying, there's no way in hell I'd ever want to do that again in my life, then pick a specific strategy within real estate or business in general that you do feel like you can perform on and focus on that. True wealth, in my opinion, is not made in real estate. It is stored in real estate. True wealth is made in business. You can apply business principles to real estate, and one of the reasons why real estate is such a great vehicle for creating wealth is because it's so easy to leverage against. How hard would it be for any one of y'all to get a business loan to go out and start a restaurant? It's not happening. Unless you've got a bunch of capital in your back pocket, probably not happening. How many people in here can go out and get a 97% loan on a house? Quite a few people. If you can't, that's what wholesaling is for. Wholesaling will get you up to the point where you can. And then you start using real estate to store your wealth. Okay? Do remember, business principles have to be applied. Other than that, you're going to be a solopreneur. Solopreneurs can make a ton of money, but it will be a full-time job. Okay? So, I'm done with this. We got about 5 minutes left. I'm opening it up to some questions. I apologize if I'm being a little too intense. That's my personality. What can I do to help you? Yes, sir.
Whenever you're talking about solopreneur or taking and making business, putting business into place, business management, business education, where would you suggest we get some business education?
Gary Harper was the key pivoting piece for me. Gary Harper runs Sharper Success Coaching. He is one of the people that I feel is a true mentor. He truly wants to see his students succeed. He was, if I do believe correctly, the COO or some level of COO for Canon. He had like 1,000 mid-level and high-level managers directly underneath his reporting. So he understood business at that level. And I do believe he just partnered with Eddie Wilson. He ran about $350 million a year in revenue through 83 different companies. He was the CEO. My conversations with those two people greatly shifted my thought process on business. If it was not for the words that they gave me, I would have probably continued hitting the ceiling that I've been hitting for a very long time and either gave up or broke through. But it was their words that allowed me to break through.
Repeat the questions.
Okay. So the question was for anybody out there that's looking for a solid business coach to learn more about the business side of stuff, I do solidly recommend Sharper Success Coaching with Gary Harper and Eddie Wilson. So I want everyone in this room to understand again, and this is a shift in thought process. Real estate investing is a trade, just like an electrician or a plumber. An electrician or a plumber can make millions and millions of dollars if they learn how to apply business principles to their trade. So if you already have a trade in your mind that you are very proficient in, my honest upfront answer to you is probably going to be learn business and apply that to your current trade, and you will likely do just as well as you ever could in real estate, and then take the funds from that trade that you've produced the revenue from and apply that funds back into holding real estate. Okay? I'm going to be saying a lot of things that might go against what you've been hearing. Why? I'm not up here selling you a trading package. I'm up here hitting you with some 12 years of experience. Yes, sir.
Hey, good morning. You're not too intense for me at all. At all, I'm the same way. But my name is Sean, and my question for you is, so you said not to, be too confused with your strategy, right? Stick to it. So my question for you is, before you got into wholesaling, did you have any other strategies that you wanted to follow before you kind of?
I got into it a little different. So the question was, basically, before wholesaling, was there any other trade or something that I was in?
Any other concept or strategy within real estate that you?
I started out different than most. I started out flipping.
Yeah.
So my first 5 transactions were flips, and I'm going to lean towards probably my first 7 or 8 transactions were flips. My very first property, I pulled like a $97,000 check out of. Well, that $97,000 check was life-changing for me. Like up until that point, I had never in my life seen more than maybe $800 in my bank account. I was making at best $9 an hour. So $97,000, I got really addicted to real estate at a very young age. So $97,000, and then I hit another one that was like $25,000, $30,000, and another one that was like $13,000, and then another one that was like $40,000. So in a very short period of time, it was like, holy crap, I went from making $15,000 a year to making $200,000. That is life-changing. That is what got me started. So if you're out there and you're making 40 or 50 grand a year and you're tired of that daily hustle, not getting to see your kids going to their recitals, not being able to see all of that, understand that this path is going to be a difficult one, but if you master it, it will be a forever one. Not only will your path change, your family's path will change, and everyone around you will change because they'll see it. I'm out of time on this topic. We're going to cut off to the next one, though. I appreciate everybody that is here today. I appreciate everyone that has followed us on Propelio.com, everybody that is following us on Facebook, on YouTube. Search for Propelio. Help us share this out. We've got a lot of people watching live. I would appreciate it if y'all would help me with that during this intermission. We're going to go to the next break, and we're going to start on the next one.